Good morning and welcome to Therapeutic Trauma. I'm Doc Heff. Let's get started. First thing we always work is our neck, because the first area of the body that receives much trauma is your neck. I'm going to take off my headset. So from the time we're tiny, our head has to be supported. We're not strong enough to hold it up. We sit in car seats and sleep at awkward angles. These are all things that contribute towards our very first and lifelong acquaintance with imperfections of neck movement. You're going to want to take the ball 360 degrees around your neck. In any sore spots you find. You can pay a little more attention to. After you do that, we go down to the shoulder. I like working this region through here. Starting off on your side with your right leg a little forward, your bottom leg a little forward, your top leg back so they're scissored. You're nice and stable. You want to trap that elbow against your rib cage. Nice and straight right down your side, and you're working right there, right where the deltoid hooks in. You want to work this back and forth through the back of the shoulder. Here, we're going to keep it really tight as we work around the shoulder. And we're going to work all the points of insertion of the muscles of the rotator cuff. There's quite a few other muscle groups we're hitting as well. But right there on the back side, right in here, on the back side of your, on the outside of your scapula, right at the juncture between your scapula and your humerus, or the back of your arm there, back of your humerus, your arm bone, is your teres minor, which is 25% of your rotator cuff. There's only 4 muscles in the rotator cuff. All 4 of them come off of your scapula, and for every 2 degrees that your humerus moves away from your body, your scapula should fan 1. Without that ratio, we still make the shoulder work, but it's not able to work the way it's designed to, and that little bit of wrong incurs what we call micro-trauma, and that dictates how you age. So, every time we work a ball through these regions, we're doing 3 things, principally: stimulating circulation, lymphatic flow, and mobility. And you create an environment where tight, restricted tissue can't exist, and you force this stuff to heal. You continue to do it, and you force it to age more gracefully. I like to take about a minute on each side, and I work the ball everywhere I have skin, every single day. And I found stuff this morning that wasn't there yesterday, and I know that because I rolled everything yesterday. So you're keeping a nice daily tally as to your state of health across the entirety of your body. Healthy tissue can take more, so if you need to load more in there, you can pick yourself up, put more of your body weight on the ball. I prefer a sphere to a cylinder because I can be more specific with a sphere, single contact point, as opposed to a cylinder, which is a line. Plus, I have greater range of motion. And I use a medicine ball, but I've been doing this forever. You can use a basketball. Smaller is going to dig in a little more, and you can deflate the ball if you need to make it a little more tolerable for yourself. So as we did each shoulder, we want to work around, and we're going to do each armpit, from armpit to armpit across the upper chest. With everything that I ask you to do, just do what you can until you can do more. Create an environment where what I'm asking is in that hurts good range, because then you're working in congress with what your body likes to perform. And you can improve your health with a decreased likelihood of injury along the way. Work that. Now, I'm also a big fan of just rolling the ball up and down my spine. Feels really good. Work it into the ribs. These are dynamic environments responding to the stress you put on them every day. So if I ask more of my bones, including my ribs, the body will fortify them and improve their bone matrix and make them stronger and less prone to fracture. So we work the upper rib cage, now we work the lower rib cage, and we're going to hit the diaphragm here. And we want to make sure we open that up because we spend all day sitting, and we drive that up, gut up into our rib cage, and that's how we end up with hiatal hernias. So we want to open up like this. This is good for reflux, just general belchiness. You want to work this across your lower rib cage. I'm doing it seated, but you can pick yourself up if you want to. You can also do this stuff against the wall if you have space. I don't trust drywall, but brick in here is fine. And well, this is pretty soft brick, comparatively speaking, but it's 124 years old. So if you can gradually ease into this stuff and just start with our neck and work our way down. So let's do our arms. So we're going to put our arm almost in a sling, and we're going to work our elbow and position our body in different orientations to load more of my body weight, my 1/8 of a ton on here. Whew, that feels good. So right now, I'm hitting the head of the radius. Usually when I say that feels good, it means it's pretty unpleasant. So you want to work this back and forth through here. That's why it's called therapeutic trauma. So work this stuff here. You can load more of your body on there. You can lift up everything if you want. And now you're working a lot of muscles just for coordination. So I'm a big fan of incorporating as many motions and muscle groups in a single activity as possible, because then you're being more efficient with your exercise time. And you're making the body work in congress with as many different parts as you can. Everything you can do, you should do every single day. Everything we don't do eventually becomes something we can't do. So we want to work our way down now. So we did the rib cage and did the arms. A good one for the hands. I like laying on the ball, putting it both like this, trapping this side as well as this side. Now, obviously the bonier side is going to be a little less pleasant, so go easy. Whatever you can tolerate is fine. Always, always, always do what you can until you can do more. So now we're going to work down to the gut. We're going to work everything soft below the pelvis. Below the ribs and above the pelvis. This is good for all of your viscera, as well as your intestines and your stomach. Again, all we're doing is improving circulation, lymphatic flow, and mobility, creating an environment where this stuff can't exist, and you force this stuff to heal. Plus, you get to wallow around and feel pretty good most of the time. So we worked that. Now we want to work the lower section below the belt and above the pelvis. Now, this one's pretty comfortable, so you just work. It takes a little time, but you want to take your balance. You can put your feet down on the ground if you need to. But I'm a fan of trying to incorporate as much balance into everything as possible. And if you have an awkward position when you're rotating on this stuff, again, you can put your feet down. This is going to help it dig in more. Now this one specifically, across the lower pelvis there, the upper pelvis, is going to be good for ovarian cyst, restless leg syndrome, irritable bowel. It'll good for UTIs. Work this stuff back and forth. All we're doing is improving circulation and lymphatic flow. So circulation, we're putting nutrients on the front of a bulldozer, this medicine ball. Again, you could just use a basketball. And you're forcing better nutrients into this area that's inflamed and compromised. So you want to work the hip now, just like we did with the shoulder. We're going to do 360s on this. And you want to keep the ball as tight on the socket, on the joint, on the ball and socket joint as possible. As with everything, any sore spots you find, just pay a little more attention to them. Work each side for a minute. And it takes a little time to get comfortable with some of these moves, and that's totally fine. Always, always, always do what you can until you can do more. So after we do that, to each hip, whipping those around as best we can, we're going to work front, inside, outside, and back of the leg. So this is going to require a little more movement as well. So first of all, if the muscles run like this, we want to take the ball serpentine motion back and forth across the area like that, and then up and down the side. This is good for your IT band. You can put your feet on the ground if you need to. You can even lay down on the ground like this if you want. But again, just looking to be as efficient as possible with the exercise time. So I've been doing this quite a while. It gets easier as you do it, and you just always want to be taxing yourself, working at the limit of your abilities, like we did when we were little. And if you do this with a handful of friends, then everyone's always trying to up one another. Those of you with children, the great thing about it is they're still amazing, and they get to hang on to it if they start doing this stuff young. So I like to work the knees now with an Indian club. You can use a wooden dowel, but you want to get in there and work this stuff, and you're going to separate the knee as a result of that being in there and pinched and sitting on it. You're going to create a force that separates the tibia and the fibula from the femur, and then you want to sit and trap the muscle, the calf, and then when we get down to the connective tissue, I just like to strip it. Now, if you do this with against your skin, you're going to want to roll it because it's going to be a little unpleasant. Again, do it about a minute on each side and work this up and down through here. Now, I'm pushing on the inside and the outside. Now, because of the shape of the Indian club, I like to reverse it as well because it catches the muscles differently. And it's important you work everything you can, every direction you have. Now, with the feet, I'm a big fan of working the club across the ball at the bottom of the club, and then you want to work the edge of your foot, and then the flat of your foot, and then there's a point along this that'll match the arch of the foot. You want to work that back and forth like that. Like this. You can put your hand on it. If you want to do it standing up, which is how I traditionally do it, you can do it like that. You can do it hanging from the gymnastic rings if you want to make it worse. You can do that with each foot. I really like to work the heel and the foot in general with that. Work this around. Again, just pressing down whatever I can tolerate, and work this up on the hip as well. Take that. It's a little more specific, and you can trace into your tailbone and your femur and work all of these things a little easier. This has been Therapeutic Trauma. I'm Doc Heff. You have a great day.